Hi, I'm Brian English, Community Forum name Hyperbytes. In this module we're going to create the tables we need for initial sign up and login procedure. So what we need to do now is we need to go into our database manager and we're going to create the basic tables that are required as outlined in the preamble to this regarding how to deal with security management. So we're going to go to tables here. You'll see at the moment we have no tables at all, and we're going to just click on new table, and that new table we're going to call user. You'll see it automatically creates an auto increment ID field. Personally, I like to prefix this with the name of the table, so that if you have multiple tables within your system, it's quite clear which ID refers to which table. It can get a little bit confusing when everything just simply says ID. We're going to want to know the name of the person, so we're going to ask for a first name. Now this is a text field. You'll see it's going to default to string. This is actually a varchar field if you know anything about SQL, and we can specify a maximum length of that particular field within the max length field. If you don't specify that, it will automatically default to the varchar default of 255. We can set a default value if we want, and also we can add a comment. That's there just primarily to remind us what the field's for. I tend not to use that unless there's a particular reason. Maybe the purpose of that field is a bit convoluted. So let's add another field now, and we'll have last name. Obviously we've got to have the all-important email address. We'll be using that to use as our username within the sign in and sign up process. We've got a new field. This has got to be password. Again, this is going to be a character field. Again, as notice I'm leaving the max length blank because it's not required. You could, if you wanted, just set that to any length you want. And obviously if you want an excess of 255, then you would pick a text type as opposed to a string. Password, we're going to be using Argon 2 ID password encryption, so that produces quite a long string, so we're quite happy with a maximum of 255. And don't forget, these being varchar means that they will actually only store the number of characters that are required, so we're not wasting a lot of database space. I'm going to add a new field here, date sign up, and that will be the date that the person has signed up to our website, and we're going to create that to a date time field, and we can set that to the default of now simply by clicking the little symbol at the end of that field. You can also choose a specific time zone if you want, and we'll deal with time zones later. So that's our basic user table. We will be adding a few more fields to that later, but for the moment let's just add another table, and we're going to call that role because this will be our role table. Again, I'm going to prefix that ID with the table name. It doesn't have to be the full table name, just make sure that it helps you recognize which ID comes from which table. We're going to have a user ID field, so this will be the foreign key to this primary key up here of user ID, and then we need to have a role, and for the role it will be a string, but we actually need one character, so let's just set that. Effectively makes it a fixed char field as opposed to a variable varchar. So we appear to have everything that we need in the short term, so let's just apply this database change. We'll give that a name. I'm a terrible typist, by the way, in case people haven't noticed. And there we are, we've created those tables. I'll just mention right from the start that if ever you notice that a change that you've applied doesn't reflect properly in here, you can at any time just refresh that schema, and that will make sure that you are looking at the very, very latest version of your database. You'll see there that we have the create initial user values committed, and that shows when the changes log. That changes log is really important because that changes log is what we will use to replicate our local structure within our database to our production server, so that the structure of that database matches exactly our local environment. So that's all we need to know at this stage regarding the creation of tables, and in the next module we'll have a look at the security provider.